Great to be back. Just to reiterate what Jim talked about the other day about the combine. I mean, nobody does it better than Indy. He was dead on right. What Jeff Foster and his staff do to put this event together, especially with all the changes that we've made, with the changes to football, with television, putting everything in the prime time, having to adjust the schedule. Jeff Foster and his staff have been unbelievable, and had to jump through a bunch of hoops to be able to get this done this year. And it's going to continue to adjust, as we go along and as we progress. So nobody does it better than Indy. Fortunate to have it here. Excited to be here. Anyway, fire away. Questions are your time here. All right, so yes, there is an update on Anthony. Anthony has informed me that he will play, again, which of course brought a big old smile to my face. So yeah, we're in the process of working on that right now. That's a good question. Look, we're going to stay the course of how we believe in team building. Things don't always go the way you want them to go, but, we have a philosophy of how we're going to build it. We want to be able to acquire young players and develop our own and develop them as Colts. Not saying that we won't enter into free agency, because we have, but it won't be our main source of player acquisition. We'll continue to build this thing the way we see fit and the way we think, you can win football games. Good. I mean, we talk about this every year, but I believe at every level of the draft, you can always find players. People are always going to pick it apart and say there's a strength and a weakness. Do I think it's a special receiver draft? Yeah. I think there's a lot of depth in the wide receiver position, but I think when you look and you dig, you're going to find, somebody that can help your team at every level. Look, we were fortunate to have all 5 starters play 16 games. I know that's not going to happen every year. That's why I always talk about the 6, 7, 8, and 9, and even 10, how all of them are important. But getting Anthony back and having the starting 5, I know him and Quentin have built quite a relationship and continuity on the same side. I think all 5 guys have built a continuity, because I think with the O-line, it's not always about having the 5 best talent, but 5 guys that'll play together. So no, it's big for us. Good. We evaluate them every year, and I think I said this at the end of the year, it's one of the hardest positions to play in sports. Just one, from the transition from college football to the NFL, what we're asking them to do, and then doing it against the best in the world. But then the expectations and the pressure and all the things that come along with playing quarterback. But I think it's a good group. It's got good depth at all levels. We all know that position usually gets pushed up. But I've talked about this before. You've got to be true to your evaluation. You've got to be true to your evaluation. I think more mistakes are made when you push that position up, and then he doesn't deserve. And then all of a sudden the expectations and everything else builds up on that kid. Bob, I see you. He's been trying to spit that out for the last 2 minutes. That's really good, because the game's evolving, and college football's evolved to where that game is coming into our league. You see it with the running quarterbacks, and you see it with the RPO stuff. But I still think accuracy, number one. I think mental aptitude and being able to be I don't think this is talked about enough, but a fit with your what you're trying to do schematically offensively is critically important. But I've always said that they've got to have enough escapability, enough feet, and accuracy. Those are things that you just can't teach those. You can't, it's hard to get accuracy. Can you get it a little better? Yes. Can you get it dramatically better? No. What's that? let me say this, because Jacoby has taken, I mean, this thing's taken a life on its own, where we did a 2-year deal with Jacoby to find out kind of, we like Jacobi Brissett, love what he stands for, and it was almost a tale of 2 seasons with him. We're 5-2, and he's playing good football. He had the injury, and then we had injuries as a team, and we kind of slid down. We did the short-term deal to see what we had. To say we're going to create competition, we're going to create competition at any spot. I mean, that's going to be a year-to-year thing. I mean, even when Andrew was our quarterback, we still studied the quarterback position. I just think it's important enough that it's a unique position. We know how hard they are to find, and you've got to go in depth each and every year for that spot.
Talk about the need when you're looking at quarterbacks in the draft. How do you weigh the need for these guys to be able to step in and play pretty quickly and absorb everything at this level with the guys?
Well, I think that just goes into each and every player's different, how they assimilate into the league. And I think not only the quarterback position, but other positions, it takes time, and each guy's different. Some guys can step in day one. Darius Leonard and Quentin Nelson step in day one, and boom, they're good players. Willis this year stepped in day one and was a good player, but every player's different. And I think the quarterback position, I mean, I don't have a preference either way. I think it's what can they handle? What can they handle? If they can handle the offense and the coordinator and Frank and them can put him in a position to succeed and we can win games, yeah, you play him. But if he's not ready to do that, then you wait.
Chris, take your team out of it. Just as you look around the landscape around the league, there could be potentially a lot of veteran quarterbacks.
No, I get it.
That's a unique situation. What do you make of that? Just observe.
I think it was similar last year too. I think you're starting to see it be a little more fluid. And usually it ends up bouncing back to its original form. But look, it's the most coveted position in this league. You've got to have good play at quarterback for sustained success. And I mean, that's just the nature of the league we're in, and it's always been that way. I think I think I said this at the end of the year, for a couple games, I would tell you there were some things, mechanically, and then he was compensating. But I think once it got on, I think it's almost more of a factor of the injuries at the wide receiver position, not having continuity with them. But I wouldn't put it on the injury. I mean, one thing about this league is everybody has once you open training camp, everybody's nicked and dinged. And, they got to play through that and take care of their body. So I don't want to completely put it on the injury with Jacoby. Well, I mean, look, a little of it bad luck with Parrish this year. Every time I remember sitting in training camp, and he has an unbelievable day of practice and then, pulls the hamstring. And then it takes him, into the season. Then he comes back and hurts a groin. Then he hurts a foot. And every time he kept making that push, something would set him back. I'll say this about Parrish. He has not left the building since the end of the season. He has been there working, rehabbing, and getting his body. I think he understands what he has to do to try to get his body right for the grind of the season. We think Parrish Campbell has a lot of upside. I think we saw it. I think you watch the Tennessee game down in the red zone, and he scores a touchdown on a Dover route over the top for a touchdown. I thought you saw it against Oakland. Now he had a fumble on the play, but he catches an option route and breaks 2 tackles and looks like he's going to go. And you saw it against Pittsburgh, where I think he almost had 100 yards just on coaches getting the ball in his hands. We like Parrish Campbell. We think he has a lot of upside. Well, look, so we do have players look, T.Y. Hilton's a good player, and we missed T.Y. Hilton last year. Jack Doyle's a good football player, and he's a good weapon. Naheem Hines, Marlon Mack, Wilkins. These are all good football players. Pascal, Parrish Campbell. we're always going to be looking to add an explosive element. You can just look where I came from in Kansas City. It was a constant looking for in some type of explosive element. I don't think the cupboards is bare, is what everybody else does, but that's always going to be something we're always looking for.
Have you had any discussions with Vinny, or is that going to be April when he rehabs?
Yeah, that'll be when he's still rehab. He's doing a great job. You know, Vinny now. Vinny works. That'll be more see where the rehab is and see where he's at.
The thought process a little bit of expanding the offensive coaching staff and shuffling things around a little bit?
Well, that was really unique, and I know Frank will talk about this afternoon. So, look, Mike Grove's really special. I was with him for 3 months in Chicago, but I saw the work he did with both Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall. So I saw that from afar. And then Frank worked with him in Philly, and they had a lot of success. They went and won a Super Bowl. So then when he became available, it just was a chance to add what we think is a pretty special coach, and then put Kevin in a role, because Kevin's really good too now. Kevin is he understands the passing game. He came from college. He was in college football where he really, got, it was part of the RPO scheme. And so our ability to expand, add to our offense. There's so much. Frank said this the other day. It was a great point. There's so much data now that we're evaluating. It's not, and there's so much. It gives our coaches more time. When you have more people, it gives them more time to work through that data and really be creative. Well, look, I have a great deal of respect for that organization. John Lynch I consider him a friend. It wasn't a secret. I mean, they were freaking good on the defensive line and up front, and they could run the crap out of the football. So I give them a lot of credit, man. They were patient, and they continued to build it. And this year it all kind of came to fruition. Andrew's retired. First, Andrew, this is unbelievable. We should have timed it. That was 12 minutes before the first Andrew Luck. This might be I don't know if it's the first time, but 12 minutes between the Andrew Luck question. That's good. He's doing good, though. Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah. Phillips a free agent. I'm not going to comment on those guys. One more time, because I didn't catch the first part of that.
What has it been like evaluating quarterbacks?
Okay, no, that's good. Well, look, I've learned a lot. I mean, I learned a lot under Coach Reed. I mean, I learned a ton under Andy. Andy was brilliant because Andy would work and do whatever the quarterback could do well, he was going to do it. Well, Frank is very similar. So I've even, from a technique, because he played the position for 14 years. Their mindset during the week, on game day, what they need to have in terms of a mindset to be successful, not only from a starter level, from a backup level, and then from a developmental level. Frank's got a good handle on what he wants, and how he wants the position to play, and he's flexible, within it.
Chris, this receiver class is considered to be really deep. Do you think that could almost hurt some of the guys at the top of the class of other teams in the early part of the draft looking to go elsewhere and put some guys back?
I don't know if I'd say it hurt the guys at the top. I mean, when you got a chance to take an elite talent, and if you evaluate him as an elite talent, he's still going to go high in the draft. But your assessment is right in terms of the depth in this draft. There is tremendous depth at wide receiver in this draft.
Two more. Defensive line, you made no secret about you needed to get more production out of that going forward.
Yeah, I mean, look, and our defensive line didn't play. I mean, they played good last year. It wasn't bad, but I'm always going to be obsessed with the front. I mean, I just believe that's how you win and have sustained success over time. I believe in building from inside out. I've said that from the day I walked in this door, and that philosophy won't change.
Chris, last one to comment on for you just potentially joining your team, but I want to ask you about Brady.
So you're going to ask me a question now. You don't want me to comment, but you're going to ask it. I'm not going to talk about Brady. Great career, though. Yep. I think, and I said this at the end of the year, that we still need more. You know, we still got to find out more. And look, at the end of the day, I mean, unfortunately for quarterbacks, even though it might not be all their fault, when you go 7-9 and don't accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish, you're going to shoulder a lot of the blame. No different than the head coach and the general manager. And you might not be able to control everything, but that's just the nature of what we do. I had a long talk with Jacoby about that, about, hey, look, it's just the nature of the position and what we do. Who, you got to...
Jordan Love is a prospect who has shown a lot of potential but threw 17 interceptions. What stands out most to you about his potential?
Well, he's very talented. And he had a heck of a season in 2018, you know, under Coach Wells, who's now at Texas Tech. I mean, look, from what I remember, I mean, I'm thinking back, but when Matt Ryan was coming out of Boston College, I want to say he threw 19-20. So you've got to break down each one of those interceptions and why did they happen? It's not always on the quarterback. I'm not saying that's the case in this situation, but we got to break all those down and figure out where we're at.